Hello there and welcome to another great video game ideas not used video, GVGI and U for short. As always, I'm Andre and it is a pleasure to be able to share my thoughts with you. You already know by looking at the subject of the video that this is about used video games and a better way to utilize them. Now, with all of this stuff coming out now, especially dealing with the Xbox One, this brings up a big concern for a lot of people, especially people who don't have the money to purchase every game that they want new. So, in turn, we're getting things like what Microsoft is proposing. They're proposing this idea. They haven't decided it's set in stone, but the fact that they're proposing it to me all pretty much confirms that they are pushing to do this. And that is quite simply that they are going to charge a fee for used video games to be played on a console. And this fee would be on top of you already purchasing the game to play it. Now, in my mind, that's like, well, you can't afford it, but we're going to charge you for it anyway. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So, so working logically through this situation and trying to come up with a decent solution that would, one, help game developers, and two, work out well for gamers. So instead of what Microsoft is proposing, which would pretty much change the face of used games in a negative way, I am going to propose a different sort of idea. One that I kind of mentioned before. I know I said a few words about it in another video. I'll try to be a little bit more in depth about it now because it is an important subject to me as one of those gamers who can't afford to purchase everything brand new. I mean, consoles, yeah, I usually get them new unless it's like an old console and I really want it. If it's an older console, I'm pretty much not going to have much of a choice but to buy it used. Chances are anyway. But if it's a newer console, yeah, I'm probably going to get it new off the shelf. That's just how I am with it when it comes to consoles. But with video games, I can't really do that because that's, you think about it, when I got my Xbox 360, it was $250. If I spent that money on games, I spent pretty much the equivalent on games. I'd be able to. I would have only been able to get 6 games. That would have, yeah. At least if I bought them brand new, anyway. That's all I would have been able to get. Would have been 6 games. So I'm like, nope, that's not a good idea to me. Not gonna go with that plan. I tend to purchase my games used because it's easier for me. I mean, there are plenty of people who buy every game that they get brand new. There are no questions asked. That's how they are. But a good majority of us need to be able to budget our money for other things. So that's just how I look at it. But getting back to my point, honestly, I just stumbled on to words about myself in the first place. What I'd suggest is that instead of having a console company decide, hey, we're going to do what we can to make sure that these companies get additional money, why not have the developers start their own used game library? Like, where they could buy back games from people who are finished with them and probably not going to play them anymore. I mean, of course, they would buy it back at a lower price. That's obvious. Let's say they buy it back from someone at a third of the cost, but they sell the game out used at maybe half the cost of what it would be new. I mean, that's not a super increase, but it would get them money. And it wouldn't take out third party businesses that do buying and selling of used games. It would just quite simply be, hey, we'll give you this for this price if you purchase from us. But they'd also have to give incentives for people to decide that they want to go ahead and purchase their games back from them or sell their games back to them. Like maybe in-game bonuses and things like that. Stuff that's inaccessible normally. Gosh, why is my throat so dry? And that's the point I'm trying to make. It could give stuff to people that they wouldn't normally be able to access if they do say, okay, you purchase Call of Duty. Activision now has a buyback plan. They purchased the game. You bought the game for $60. They purchased the game back from you for $20, and they end up selling it for $30. Okay, they already get the $60. Well, I don't know how much profit they get out of the $60, but they net whatever profit they get from the 60. Then you sell back to them for 20, and then they net another $10 profit off of that purchased game. That's just an example. It's Call of Duty is a popular game, which is why I thought of it. Again, I'm not a Call of Duty fanboy, so please don't blame me for using that. It's just a good example of what I'm saying. And also, with these companies, another incentive to buy used games from them would be to get the complete package with like anything that you couldn't get with the game if you hadn't bought it new. But only if you purchase it directly from the developer. Only if you purchase it from them. Not like going to GameStop and you buy it used. You buy it used there, you get it used there. That's how it runs. And like you don't get anything additional with the game unless it was like left in there by somebody who didn't use it. Chances are that won't happen, but it's just a suggestion. But anyway, but yeah, that was my thought. And if that happened more often, game developers would actually see more revenue come in. I mean, it's not like everybody's going to go to them, but if they offered it, more people would do this. And I know more people would do it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind people would go and say, okay, well, I can sell it to them, send the game off, they'll deposit my money in PayPal or whatever other account that I have, and it saves me time and energy. I don't have to run out to the store. I can just sell it off to them. They'll send me, and yes, they would have to send a package for you to send it back to them. Not going to say, okay, yeah, they send me the package, I send it back, they give me my money. As simple as that. And you would also get, like I said, get incentives. I don't know what the companies would think of. I mean, we know that Ubisoft has their Uplay thing. I mean, quite obviously, there'd be plenty of incentives with them. I mean, as far as like their point system and stuff is set up. I'm just grasping examples here because this isn't like a fully developed thought. It's just that I figured if I'm going to say something about it, I'm going to say it from the top of my head and give it the best way I can, because there's no way I can possibly think of how every company would run it. I'm just giving the basic layout for how it should be. I mean, in this, at least as far as console games are concerned, this would be a good idea. I mean, PC games is a whole different beast because PCs actually operate in a different way than consoles do for the most part. Yeah, you might see some of the same features that PCs have end up in consoles, but for the most part, they operate differently. They don't operate in the same manner, so they shouldn't be treated in the same manner. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize. It's just like with Android games. They operate differently. iOS games, they operate differently. But like, yes, the inputs are the same on both platforms, but they operate in a different manner. You can't treat them exactly the same. Like, you don't treat mobile games, like I said, like Android and iOS, like Game Boy Advance or PS Vita games. You don't. They're not the same type of beast. Like, similar premise, but not the same. That's why you can't treat them the same. Just like PS Vita and Nintendo 3DS, they're handheld gaming consoles. You can get an Android tablet or an iOS or an Apple iPad and use it strictly for gaming, but they have more computer functionality than they do gaming functionality. That's just how it is. I am getting off my point anyway, but that's how I'm really saying it should be with the used games. Give the people what they want, but don't throw away the possibility of getting more people to play games. As far as I'm concerned, being a gamer, I want as many people to play video games as possible. Whether it is you feel it's I'm a hardcore gamer, or you want to play a casual game, or anything. If you're playing a fucking game, you're supporting the industry. That's how I feel about it. You playing a video game, you support the industry one way or another. Whether it is a free to play game, a free game, either way, you are supporting the industry. You're giving people an opportunity to showcase their work and to say, hey, I enjoyed this or I didn't enjoy this, and give reasons why. And all of that is in support of the video game industry, which is exactly what I am trying to do. So, Microsoft, please don't do this crap with the used games with fees. Sony, don't do it either. It is just a bad idea, and it will hurt the video game industry. If execs from either see this, like I said with the Nintendo video, I doubt you will see it. Consider that. Don't just throw the idea out there that, okay, hey, we can charge a fee. It doesn't matter what the fee is itself, it's the principle behind it. Like, if you're trying to get money for game developers and publishers, this is not the route to go. The route to go would be more or less what I had already suggested. Whoever holds the title rights to the game, the name of it, like that stuff, those people should be able to buy back the used copies from people who want to sell them off, who no longer want them anymore, so that they can recoup part of their money back for those used games. I don't want to shoot down GameStop and places like that, but they also should come into agreement with the developers so that the developers get back a percentage of that money, seeing as they're getting the games from players and going out and reselling them, and then they recoup the full cost of that, which in my opinion that is wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. They definitely shouldn't do that. They need to come up with an agreement for developers and producers so that the game industry doesn't collapse in on itself, so that the money goes to the proper people who did the work. I think, in all honesty, that would help with the problems people have with pirating and things like that. It would be a positive way to utilize used games that the industry isn't doing right now. At least that's how I see it. And if you disagree, you disagree. I can't blame you for that, but that's just a difference of opinion. Truthfully, though, that's just how I wish it to be. I'm always going to be a gamer, and I'm going to support the idea of having used games because not everybody can afford to get them there. But I also don't want the people that are making the games and giving them to us to get the short end of the stick either. That kind of fucked them over. No more games, no more industry, no more enjoyable entertainment for my ass. So hey, but I think that's pretty much all I had to say. I'm going to cut it short here. Well, not really short. I think this is nearly a 15-minute video anyhow. But ending it here today with this. Thank you very much for listening to my rambling, because I know I do it a lot, and it is appreciated that someone would sit through it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it made you think. And like I said, if you agree with me, share this video. Share it anywhere that video games are concerned. Just share the thought. It would be so much more helpful to the gaming industry if people could do this. And that's my personal opinion on it. You don't have to like it, but that's just how I see it. Anyway, keep an eye out for more of my stuff, my articles, my podcast. I will be doing one today, like I said before in my earlier update video. And hopefully hopefully you find a way to enjoy more of the stuff that I put out. And thank you again. Until the next time, enjoy your games.